sharper opening than any other opening in the after d4. King's Indian may be complicated opening, but not so sharp. It's a big difference between complicated and sharp. So if we play bishop f4 and e3 variation in King's Indian, we simplified. You cannot simplify as well Grunfeld defense. So let's go with Grunfeld. d5, knight f3, bishop g7. And let's start with variation A, which is bishop g5. This is an easy way to play this opening, and you can learn it in about 5-10 minutes. You may not get an advantage, but you will know what to play. And then I will show you a little more ambitious continuation. Bishop g5, knight e4. That's the move to expect. That's the main move. C takes d, knight takes g5, knight takes g5. White has an extra pawn, but black is getting it back right away by playing e6, hitting the knight. Queen takes g5 is a threat. So white goes knight f3, e takes d, and now e3. Now this position reminds me a lot the position of Queen's Gambit decline that we had a little while ago. We analyzed the same plan. What white is going to play, bishop d3, queen c2, then go b4, b5, after black plays c6, b5, and play pawn minority attack. We already looked at it. The way you can do it is after e6, knight f3, ed, e3, castle. You can start with b4 move right away. So what you want to do, what are you attacking? You are not attacking c6 pawn because pawn is not on c6 yet. But once you put enough pressure on d5 pawn, black will play c6, and then you have to play, your plan is pawn minority attack. Black has also counter chances. They can go knight d7, knight b6, bishop e6. Well, you play that. That's the easy way to learn. It's okay to play for white. Now, the more ambitious continuation and a lot more ambitious way to play for white is next. Playing d4, knight f6, c4. After g6, knight c3, d5. We can go knight f3 first, or we can go with the c takes d, doesn't matter. C takes d, let's start with c takes d. Knight takes d5 and g3. You could have played g3 even in this position. Remember, I saw if you played instead of g3, instead of cd, knight f3 first, bishop g7, and this is the position where there is a choice white has to make, either go cd or bishop g5. So suppose the continuation that I just mentioned is ambitious. C takes d, knight takes d5, and of course main modern theory is e4, but we don't want to do it because e4 you have to learn a lot. You don't have to learn a lot here. One line and you will be better prepared than your opponent. I can guarantee you, because that's not the line they can pick up anywhere in theory. g3, castles, bishop g2. Now, the most popular move, this is very popular, very famous position. Knight c6, castle, and knight b6. This is the key position of fianchetto variation of Grunfeld, which happened maybe thousands of times on any level, especially the high level, but they play it on much lower level as well. And the move that was played here for white in over 90% of the time is e3, because the pawn on d4 is hanging and e3 is the move. But move I recommend is bishop f4. It's much less known move with some very interesting ideas. Quickly, let's run through the possibilities black may have. Knight takes d4, most obvious, one continuation, bishop e6, and bishop g4. Those are the three continuations we can consider. Now let's go and analyze them all. Knight takes d4, knight takes d4. And here, black has three ways to play. Queen takes d4, bishop takes d4, and e5. Let's look at it in any order, in random order, because there is no order that is important to know, to learn it with. Queen takes d4, queen takes d4, bishop takes d4, and knight b5. White has some advantage and difficult to play for black position. On bishop takes b2, rook b1. And on bishop g7, knight takes c7. It's difficult position for black. And on rook b8, simply knight d5. Really difficult game for black. Okay, let's go on. Knight d5, and important thing that bishop f5 is not working because knight takes e7, followed by knight takes f5 and bishop takes b8. So in this position, after queen takes d4, what you play is you exchange queens and go knight b5, and if black goes e5, you simply play bishop h6. Black is in bad shape here. I'm giving you information, and it's your job to double check it. You cannot just trust me that I said this or you can play. You can trust me. It's good idea to play so, but the reason why you have to double check, because you will feel a lot more comfortable when you play it yourself. So let's go quickly with the other two continuations. We just covered queen takes d4. Same thing happens on bishop takes d4. You go knight b5, and if black goes e5, same bishop h6 move. And if bishop takes on b2, same rook b1 move. Nothing has changed. Maybe even queen takes d8, rook takes d8, and now rook b1 move. Same exact problem black is having. And the third and more important move actually was maybe the main move in this position is e5. Let's quickly run through this continuation. Knight c6. Well, taking on c6 is not a good idea because white simply plays bishop e3 and black is in bad shape. And again, you can see black has a lot of weaknesses. White just piles up on c-file, and black is in trouble. The correct move here is queen takes d1. Then we go knight e7 check, king h8, rook f takes d1. Black must take bishop on f4. White plays knight takes c8, rook a takes c8, bishop takes b7, rook b8, and bishop a6. After f takes g, h takes g, position is difficult for black. The key move in this position, which I had it once in my game, on bishop takes c3, bc, knight a4 looks like very strong for black, because on rook d7, black has knight c5. Otherwise, they want to play rook b2, but after rook d5, black has significant difficulties. A knight takes c3, we may even go rook a5, followed by either rook c1 or bishop d3 and a7 pawn weakness. This is difficult position for black. That's something you just have to analyze also from this position, which we cannot do now. Analyze, and you will come to the same conclusion.